Today I'm sharing 5 family meals from Aldi for just around $60. Of course, prices may vary in your area. Of course, I will tell you exactly how much I spent on my blog where I post all of the recipes. But today I'm just gonna share everything that we made for the week. This is to feed my family of 5. So this is me, my husband, my 3 sons. I have a 7, a 9, and a 3-year-old. I said that backwards, I don't know why. They're loud and rowdy. You might be able to hear them in the background. Anyway, we're feeding the family for what I would consider to be pretty dirt cheap. I tried to buy the things that we love without spending a ton of money and just really eating really delicious, wholesome food. So we're gonna get started with a teriyaki salmon that's made in the air fryer and some quick pickled cucumbers. Now, I just used a half of a cucumber that I already had because even though I purchased a cucumber, I always want to use what I have in my fridge, freezer, and cabinets first, kind of like the first in, first out method to make sure that nothing goes bad and nothing goes to waste. So just thinly slice that half of a cucumber. And then we're going to make our pickling liquid with a 1/4 cup. I just used white vinegar, but you could also use rice vinegar or even red wine vinegar if that's what you have. 1 teaspoon of honey, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And then you want to grate in about a 1/4 teaspoon or a half a teaspoon of fresh ginger. And if you don't have fresh ginger, you could always use a little bit of dried ginger. And then I just thinly sliced some red onion. I know I didn't actually grab that in my haul. You could very easily add a bag of red onions. I did have those on hand, so I just figured I would throw those in. Alternatively, you could also use a shallot. So just give that a good mix and then add in all those cucumbers. And once we put all those in, just give them a mix and then you just want to let that sit. You can let that sit in the fridge until it's time to serve your salmon. So just making this right ahead of time is going to be plenty of time for this to give it a quick pickle. And it really does taste amazing with that salmon and it makes it feel like restaurant worthy. It's something that you just made up by yourself, but it's something really special. And then we're just going to make up our sauce for the teriyaki salmon. You want a tablespoon of mirin, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, or you could use coconut aminos, or I think it's like called tamari. That's a gluten-free version. 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. So I did have rice vinegar. I just didn't have enough to put in the other sauce. So I just used it for this. And then a squeeze of half of a lime or a tablespoon of fresh lime juice. And then 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And I think you would also use maple syrup in this if you didn't want to use the brown sugar. And I think that'd be a good alternative. It would still taste really great with the salmon. And I know mirin might be a more obscure liquid that you may not have in your cabinet. So if you don't have that, you can always use 1 more tablespoon of rice vinegar, or you could use even like sake if you had that, or maybe some cooking sherry. So you want to make sure that you have 1/4 pound portions of salmon. When I ordered the salmon, I ordered from Instacart and they only sent me a half a pound of salmon instead of the full 1.25 pounds that I was looking for my whole family. So unfortunately, I didn't get to make everything for everyone, but my kids were happy to have mac and cheese anyway. You just want to lightly salt the salmon and then glaze it with a brush and just kind of put that sauce over the top. It's pretty liquidy. What's up with the shoe behind me? I don't know. My 7-year-old just leaves his shoe around. So, do we like the shoe? Maybe we should leave it there. I'm not sure why I'm walking around it. So you put that in the bottom of your air fryer basket and air fry at 400 degrees for 15 to 18 minutes. So you want the inside to be 125 degrees when it's ready. And make sure you kind of take it out and again, take that brush and baste it every 5 minutes. And while that's cooking, I'm going to make up some asparagus too. This asparagus is super delicious. So we're going to do a simple roasted asparagus. I'm just going to cut those hard ends off the bottom. This is going to depend on your asparagus. So I kind of always just cut like where it feels like maybe those are like you don't want like the really crunchy bottom parts, right? So just take those off of there. And then just place them on a baking sheet with parchment paper and drizzle them in about a tablespoon of olive oil and sprinkle them with salt and pepper. And that is it. We're going to put them in the oven at 400 degrees for 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to depend on how thick your asparagus is. Like mine was really thin. I cooked it for 5 minutes at the 400 degrees and it was perfectly cooked. You may want to kind of move it around halfway through if you need to. And while that asparagus was cooking, I basted the salmon again and then started making a delicious creamy feta sauce to go with the asparagus. This is incredible and actually tastes good with the salmon too. So you just want a 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt, and 4 ounces of feta cheese. I'm just going to put that inside of a food processor. I just have this handheld one. If you wanted to make more of it, it's actually really good. Like I would eat this as a dip. You can put it in a bigger food processor, whatever you have, just to kind of mix it up. You basically want to get all that feta mixed in with all of that yogurt. And that's it. That's a very simple way to make it, and it ends up being delicious. If you have a little bit of lemon, you can add that to it too, and that would also taste phenomenal. And it's time to plate up the meal. This is so incredible for a budget meal. So you just start with your piece of salmon, and you can just lay down that feta sauce. You can put as much or as little as you want. I kind of did mine like kind of in a line so that the asparagus could sit right on top of it. And just place on that asparagus and put on some quick pickled cucumbers, as much or as little as you like. And it's just a beautiful, healthy meal. I mean, maybe this shouldn't be a weeknight meal, but it was so fast. It was like 30 minutes and done, and it's incredible. So I recommend it, and it's amazing that it fits into this budget shopping list. Oh yeah, and if you want to, you can add some of the cilantro over the top of it because it looks pretty and it tastes good. But this tastes incredible, and I already sent the recipe over to friends and family because that is how good it is. Next up, we're making a tandoori chicken with cilantro lime rice. And we're just going to start off with a half a cup of Greek yogurt. We're going to really use and abuse this Greek yogurt throughout the week, and I'm not mad about it because it works for everything, right? So we're going to be able to tenderize our chicken by putting the yogurt on it. And then you want to add in a half of a lime squeezed or a tablespoon of lime juice. Or you could also alternatively use lemon juice in this. I just had purchased limes, so we used limes for most of the recipes this week. And then I used a half a teaspoon of dried ginger, but you could also use fresh if you have it, and a tablespoon of paprika. You also want a teaspoon of gram masala. You'll notice in my cooking, I use this quite a bit. It is completely worth buying, especially if you like that kind of curry flavor flair. So I also added a half a teaspoon of ground turmeric and a half a teaspoon of ground coriander. And you can also add a little cayenne if you like something spicy. I didn't do that because my family doesn't like that. And then you just want to mix everything really well. So I put this kind of in the bottom of a bag, and I was just using that little spatula to mix it around. You can use your hands, whatever. I love these little stands to make marinades in. I feel like it's really helpful, and it just works out really well with the chicken. And then I just added in my chicken drumsticks. That's what I was able to get at Aldi, especially for the lowest price. So that's what I ended up using. You could also use like full chicken legs or the drumsticks and the thighs, whatever you prefer, whatever is on sale, all of those will work. Then you just close up your bag, push out the air, and just kind of mush it all around. Make sure those chicken legs are fully covered in all of that amazing marinade. And you can marinate this for 20 minutes up to 4 hours, depending on how much time you have. It's going to obviously taste a little bit stronger the longer that you go. And then when it was time to make dinner, I just made up some rice. So I did 2 dry cups of rice, which I think ends up being like 4 or 6 cooked. And I kind of thought we'd have extra, but we didn't. So it just worked out that way. We just made enough for that night. And I wanted to make cilantro lime rice to go with this chicken. It was absolutely perfect. You'll also notice that I'm filling up my container with rice. I really like to keep clear containers with rice, flour, sugar, quinoa, anything I'm going to keep in my cabinets, and that way I can tell how much I have left so I don't end up with all these little baggies everywhere. I really find that it helps me be more efficient and reduce waste. And then you just want to take 2 red onions. I didn't initially add that to my shopping list. I had red onions at home. You can definitely add them. They're a few dollars at Aldi, and you can get a bag of them. And that way you can use them for those cucumbers and for this dish. But you can also just use what you have on hand. So if you have yellow onions on hand, that will do. And you don't necessarily need them for the cucumbers. So it's up to you whether you want to add that cost. So I just took 2 of them and sliced them into wedges. Placed them in a bowl and drizzled them with olive oil, salt, and pepper. And then for the cilantro lime rice, you just need a lime. So I just slice that in half to get it ready to squeeze and zest. 2 cloves of garlic minced. You could also use garlic powder, about a teaspoon, or like some of the jarred garlic, that would work too.
And then about a quarter cup of minced cilantro. In this case, you really do want to try and use that fresh cilantro to give it that flavor. If you don't have fresh cilantro, you could always do a garlic butter rice. I'll leave the recipe down in the description box for that. That is absolutely phenomenal as well. And just an alternative option for if you don't have the fresh herbs. Then you just want to pour your chicken onto a lined baking sheet and kind of line them up so that they're not touching. And we're going to bake this at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. We're not putting the onions in yet or anything. But then after that 20 minutes is up, you want to pull them out and add in those onions. So you just want to evenly add those over the top. And then we're going to close the oven and bake for another 20 minutes or until the chicken is done and the internal temperature reaches 175 degrees. Mine was the perfect 40 minutes. The onions turned out perfect. So while this chicken is baking, we're going to get the cilantro lime rice finished. So to your cooked rice, you want to add a tablespoon of olive oil. We're going to zest in a teaspoon of lime zest, and then add in those 2 minced cloves of garlic, and then give it a mix because this is nice and hot, and this is going to start to get all those flavors kind of cooking and kind of absorbed into the rice. So just the zest and that garlic right now is going to start to absorb into the rice because it's nice and hot. And then once it's mixed, add in the cilantro, give it another mix, and your rice is finished. It's super easy, lots of flavor, and again, tastes really good with this chicken. And after that 20 minutes, the chicken was done, the rice was done, and all that needed to be done was to plate it up. I realized after that I had kind of meant to serve half of that asparagus with this, and I made it all the night before. We also have some peas that you could have used. So, you know, if you feel like you need to add some veggies, I get it. Go ahead and add either of those to this, or make sure you save half of the asparagus. But I mean, with the onions and the rice and the chicken, and we ate a lot of veggies earlier, we were good. This next one is for an absolute favorite recipe of mine. This is Michelle's curry chicken, a recipe from a beloved subscriber who sent it in a couple years ago, and we have been making it ever since. It is one of my 7-year-old's absolute favorite meals. So I'm not sure what happened, but I don't have the actual footage of me mixing this, but basically I took half the package of chicken thighs. You only need about a pound or two, and put them in the crock pot with 1 cup of salsa. And so I had the big thing of salsa from Aldi, so I didn't even have to use all of it. Then 3 tablespoons of curry powder, just like the regular yellow curry powder. And if you wanted to, you could do half of a chopped onion, but I didn't. Just mix that all together and cook on low for 3 hours. And then when that time's up, I was just making some plain white rice again to go with this. The cilantro lime would really do well too. But you can see after 3 hours, it is bubbling and that chicken is just completely falling apart, and your house is going to smell incredible. Like, you're going to know. You're going to have some curry chicken. It's going to be so good. And so I didn't even need a fork. I just took these tongs and mixed everything up, and this chicken just shredded. And then you just want to add in 4 ounces of cream cheese. So that's half of a package, which is great. You have the other half for anything you need it for. And it just makes it so creamy and so amazing. So if you can't even believe you made curry chicken with salsa and cream cheese, but you did, and you're going to be shocked. And we just served that over rice. Now, my initial intention, I don't know why, vegetables were not on my brain, but vegetables need to be on my mind more often, apparently, because I was going to add in that bag of frozen peas that we purchased. So I did purchase a bag of frozen peas. My goal was to add them in here, and that way we had veggies here. Totally forgot, so we were in a rush, and this is what we ate anyway. So sometimes we don't get all the veggies we probably should have. The salsa's veggies, right? I don't know. So you just serve it over the rice, and it's phenomenal. If you have some naan bread, I always like to grab that if it's on sale and throw it in my freezer so that I have it. We didn't have any in this occasion, but it was fine without it, and everybody loved it. All right, next up, we're making some Greek chicken bowls. I'm just so happy with this meal plan because it's so fresh, so delicious. I don't know, I just love it. So we're going to start by marinating the chicken, and Greek yogurt is just so amazing for marinating chicken. We used it for the drumsticks. We're going to use it again for the Greek chicken. It gives it so much flavor, and it's pretty inexpensive again, and you're not going to have oils, right? It's just like you're adding protein. I mean, protein on protein. That's what 2025 is about, right? So we're just going to start by mincing 4 cloves of garlic. There's going to be tons of flavor in this marinade. Makes it so delicious. And then I love marinating in a bag, but I ran out of bags, so they were being ordered from Amazon at this current time. So I just used a bowl to marinate this chicken. You want 3/4 cup of the Greek yogurt. Then you just need the juice of 1 lime, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and some salt and pepper. And just give that a good mix. And then you just want to add that chicken into that bowl, make sure it gets nice and covered, cover it up well, and put it in the fridge for at least 2 hours, but up to 24 hours is fine. So you can do this overnight too. I just did mine midday, so I put that in the fridge, and then I was like, we're just going to prep everything else so that we have these bowls ready for tonight to make things super easy. So I just diced up a couple of Roma tomatoes and sliced and cut my cucumber into quarters. And I used, I don't know, about a quarter of the cucumber. You can use as much or as little of these things as you'd like. You should have about a half a cucumber left after the cucumber salad on the first day. And this is the only other thing we're going to use the cucumber for. So if you like a lot of cucumber, like cut it up for as much as you want. You can even make a little salad with it if you want. And then also slice thinly some of that red onion. And you can do, again, as much or as little as of that as you like. Like I know my family members don't really care for red onion. I love it. So I just sliced it up for me and put it in some little jars, some little containers, and put that in the fridge so that when we made our bowls, I could just assemble them super easy, even in a crazy weeknight when I have 3 little boys running around all needing something from me. Okay, I lied. We do need another quarter of your cucumber. We need about a third a cup of grated cucumber to make some tzatziki sauce. Now we're making a 100% traditional tzatziki. It's T-Z-I-K-I. Tzatziki sauce, but we're going to make one that tastes really good in this bowl, and we just don't need all of the traditional ingredients because that's how we work around here. We make things work with what we have. So you need to grate up about a quarter to a third a cup of cucumber. I wanted to say zucchini because it looks like shredded zucchini, but it's cucumber. And you want to put that on top of a couple of paper towels, and then we're going to kind of wring it out over the sink and get the extra liquid out of it. You could also use like a cheesecloth or even just like a dish towel, whatever you have. And then just put that in a small bowl. And then you just want to grate in 1 clove of garlic, add a 3/4 cup of Greek yogurt, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and salt. And then traditionally we're going to use like fresh dill and fresh mint, but we don't have either. So I just used this dried dill that I have, about a teaspoon. And it worked out really well. I didn't miss any of the other flavors at all. Again, you also traditionally would use a squeeze of lemon juice. Didn't have that. So we just used the dried dill in here. This is a great alternative if you only have a few ingredients. And you can add a little, I think I actually added like another half a teaspoon there. So another half a teaspoon of dried dill if you like. And you can see it's very dilly. It's full of flavor, and these tasted just like a Greek bowl that you get at a restaurant or something like that. You wouldn't know that I was cutting corners. And then when it was time to make dinner, I ended up using my air fryer for these. So this ended up perfect with 4 of these chicken thighs like this. They fit perfectly in my larger air fryer basket because I have one of those like oven ones. I found myself using my air fryer quite a bit lately, and I'm really falling in love with it. But alternatively, if you don't have one, you can definitely use your regular oven for this. So just place them on a lined baking sheet. And we're going to use basically the exact same cook time. So we're going to do 400 degrees for 20 minutes and then just flip them halfway through. That should work in the air fryer and in the oven. And you do also want to be making rice while you're cooking these because we're going to need rice again for the bowls, or you could have made extra one of the other days and just heated it up. So however you want to do that. I actually did have some leftover rice from when we made the curry chicken, so that worked out really nice. Another really nice thing about this is you don't need like 1 piece of chicken per person because you're going to dice it up and put it with the bowls, and we're going to have some veggies and some rice in there. And these are actually pretty large pieces of chicken. So I just had 1 big package of the chicken thighs, and then I was able to use those for 2 meals for my family of 5. And that worked out really nicely when you do it this way. And you can see how crispy and delicious it turned out. And that is part due to the air fryer, but also part due to that Greek yogurt. So I just recommend this marinade. I cannot recommend it enough. And I'll be using it for more than just the Greek bowls. Like I'll be making chicken for everything with it because it just tastes incredible. So then you just want to dice up that chicken. So just into small bite-sized pieces because we're going to put it in those bowls. So to assemble those bowls, you just start with some rice. You just want to top that with some of the chicken, some red onion, tomato, cucumber, and yes, we still have some feta cheese left from that feta cheese sauce. We bought a whole block of that, so you could sprinkle that on as well, and that beautiful tzatziki sauce. Let me know if you think you know how to say it down below. We can have like a little tzatziki off. And these are beautiful. This one was my husband's bowl. The other one was mine in the like more wooden one. We don't always use the same bowls because, you know, it's real life, at least for us. For this last meal, I'm not even going to show you how to make it. We had tacos. The kids loved it. It's always an easy meal for us. You can find all the information for all of the recipes and the shopping list down in the description on my blog. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe.
Like you.